Hey everyone, welcome to my channel.
Lot was a righteous man, but he lived in the sinful city of Sodom. God decided to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah because of their wickedness. But before the destruction, two angels came to visit Lot. When they arrived in Sodom, a crowd of angry men surrounded the house where Lot was staying. The men demanded that Lot bring the angels out so they could have sexual relations with them. That's how bad things had gotten in Sodom. But Lot was a righteous man, and he didn't want those men to have relations with the angels or with anyone else because it wasn't right. So Lot invited the angels into his home and shut the door behind them. Then he invited them to stay for a meal, and while they were eating, the angels told him to get up, take his wife and daughters, and escape into the mountains before the sun came up. They warned him not to look back, but Lot's wife did look back, and she turned into a pillar of salt. After Lot and his daughters escaped, they fled to the mountains and hid in a cave. Lot's daughters believed the world had ended. She thought it was just her and her father. So the two daughters made a plan to preserve their father's family line and their own. They got their father drunk and slept with him on separate nights. Lot didn't know what they were doing. In the morning, the older daughter gave birth to a son. She named him Moab, which means from the father. And the younger daughter gave birth to a son. She named him Ben-Ammi, which means son of my father. So Moab became the ancestor of the Moabites, and Ben-Ammi became the ancestor of the Ammonites. This is the story of Lot and his children. What can we learn from this story? Let's think about that. Lot was a righteous man, but he lived in a sinful place. We could say that Lot was like a fish tank. A fish tank might be a great place for a fish to live because it has water and food, but it's only good for a fish if it's clean. If someone doesn't clean the fish tank, the water will get dirty, the fish will get sick, and might even die. And that's what happened to Lot. He lived among people who were doing evil, and it affected him. It says here that Lot was very uncomfortable with the evil that people were doing. The people of Sodom wanted to do evil to the angels, but they couldn't because Lot protected the angels. He showed great courage when he stood up against the people of Sodom, but let's be honest, sometimes we're not strong enough to stand up for what's right. Sometimes it's easier to go along with what other people are doing than to stand up for what is right. Lot's daughters knew their mother had turned into a pillar of salt because she looked back when she wasn't supposed to. They also knew that if they didn't do something, their father would become the last of the line. He wouldn't have any descendants. Their plan was risky, but they were willing to do whatever it took to save their father's family line. This story shows us that God is just and He hates sin. He destroyed the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah because the people there were wicked. But it also shows us that people aren't all good or all bad. Lot was a righteous man, but he also had some flaws. His daughters weren't perfect, but they were willing to do what was necessary to save their family line. This story reminds us that we should always try to do what's right, but we should also remember that people aren't perfect, including us. Well, that's the end of today's story. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to share and like. Also, feel free to leave a comment. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Thanks for watching. See you next time.